Now is Catherine Foster. She's a constitutional attorney who has been fighting against abortion access for 15 years. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. What do you take away from this decision from the Supreme Court?
To paraphrase the old saying, this is justice delayed, but not justice denied. Out of the 4 opinions issued by the court, they were able to scrape together 5 votes to say, okay, maybe this was too soon to take up this case. But what's happening now is that the Ninth Circuit is going to hear the arguments en banc with 11 judges on the Ninth Circuit, listening to these arguments, and I fully expect that this case will come out in favor of life. As we saw from the Supreme Court, Justice Barrett said that a large part of her reasoning was because of the critical concessions given by the U.S. government on the issue of conscience, not forcing doctors to perform abortions against their will, for example. And Justice Alito specifically said that the Biden administration's attempt to preempt state law, when both the federal law and the state law are really all about saving lives, that was plainly unsound and would not stand.
And we've seen in this term the Supreme Court also take a similar approach with mifepristone, the abortion pill, where they didn't really rule on the merits of the case. What does that say about the Supreme Court as to how they are handling the issue of abortion, where once again you see them sending it down to a lower court?
Yeah, as we've seen over and over, we keep getting leaks on abortion cases, as in Roe v. Wade, as in Dobbs. But we're also seeing that this is a court that is deeply committed to not engaging in judicial activism the way that the Roe court did. This is a court that has no interest in legislating from the bench, that really wants the political process to work itself through, and then the legal process to work itself through. And they come in and weigh in when it's their time to do so. They're being very cautious about that, and they're making sure that all of their opinions, all of their decisions are well-founded and are coming at the right time for the right cases.
And it's been more than 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. How long could it be until we see this case once again in front of the justices?
Yeah, on average, the Supreme Court was taking a case on abortion every 2.5 years or so. That pace has sped up recently. We've all seen it. Abortion is one of those hot button issues, and we're seeing it not only in the election, we'll see it in the debate tonight, but we're seeing it just in everyday conversation, and obviously in our courts and state houses. I expect that this case will be back up before the Supreme Court. I expect that the Supreme Court will vindicate the right to life of children, will vindicate the moms who need that protection for their children, and will make sure that everything is clear for the doctors who may have some questions about what they should be doing. But I would expect in the next year or two that we will see this case back up before the court, that we will see the FDA case as well on chemical abortion drugs back up before the court, and we'll finally get to the merits, to the meat of the arguments, so that we can finally expose the FDA's wrong actions in expanding chemical abortion drugs, and as well expose what's happening with the Biden administration trying to really co-opt a good pro-life intended law, EMTALA, that makes sure that hospitals treat people in medical distress, to try to force doctors at the state level to perform abortions when it's against state law and it's not what's best for the people of that state.
Catherine Foster, President and CEO of First Rights Global, thank you for your time.